Chapter 11, page 59. Yesterday morning I went to the doctor, was taken by a guardian, one of those with the red armbands who are in charge of such things. We rode in a red car, him in the front, me in the back. No twin went with me. On these occasions I'm solitaire. I'm taken to the doctor's once a month for tests. Urine, hormones, cancer smear, blood test, the same as before, except that now it's obligatory. The doctor's office is in a modern office building. We ride up the elevator silently, the guardian facing me. In the black mirror wall of the elevator, I can see the back of his head. At the office itself, I go in. He waits outside in the hall with the other guardians on one of the chairs placed there for that purpose. Inside the waiting room, there are other women, 3 of them in red. This doctor is a specialist. Covertly, we regard each other, sizing up each other's bellies. Is anyone lucky? The nurse records our names and the numbers from our passes on the doc to see if we are who we are supposed to be. He's 6 feet tall, about 40, a diagonal scar across his cheek. He sits typing, his hands too big for the keyboard, still wearing his pistol in the shoulder holster. When I'm called, I go through the doorway into the inner room. It's white, featureless, like the outer one, except for a folding screen. Red cloth stretched on a frame, a gold eye painted on it, with a snake-twined cord upright beneath it, like a sort of handle. The snakes in the cord are bits of broken symbolism left over from the time before. After I filled the small bottle left ready for me in the little washroom, I take off my clothes behind the screen and leave them folded on the chair. When I'm naked, I lie down on the examining table on the sheet of chilly, crackling disposable paper. I pull a second sheet, the cloth one, up over my body. At neck level, there's another sheet suspended from the ceiling. It intersects me so that the doctor will never see my face. He deals with a torso only. When I'm arranged, I reach my hand out, fumble for the small lever at the right side of the table, pull it back. Somewhere else a bell rings, unheard by me. After a minute, the door opens, footsteps come in, there is breathing. He isn't supposed to speak to me except when it's absolutely necessary, but this doctor is talkative. "How are we getting along?" he says. Some tick of speech from the other time. The sheet is lifted from my skin. A draft pimples me. A cold finger, rubber-clad and jellied, slides into me. I am poked and prodded. The finger retreats, enters otherwise, withdraws. "Nothing wrong with you," the doctor says, as if to himself. "Any pain, honey?" He calls me honey. "No," I say. My breasts are fingered in their turn, a search for ripeness, rot. The breathing comes nearer. I smell old smoke, aftershave, tobacco dust on hair. Then the voice, very soft, close to my head. That's him, bulging the sheet. "I could help you," he says, whispers. "What?" I say. "Shh," he says. "I could help you. I've helped others." "Help me," I say. My voice is as low as his. "How? Does he know something? Has he seen Luke? Has he found... Can he bring back? "How do you think?" he says, still barely breathing it. Is that his hand sliding up my leg? He's taken off the glove. The door's locked. No one will come in. They'll never know it isn't his. He lifts the sheet. The lower part of his face is covered by the white gauze mask. Regulation. 2 brown eyes, a nose, a head with brown hair on it. His hand is between my legs. "Most of those old guys can't make it anymore," he says, "or they're sterile." I almost gasp. He said a forbidden word. Sterile. There is no such thing as a sterile man anymore, not officially. There are only women who are fruitful and women who are barren. That's the law. "Lots of women do it," he goes on. "You want a baby, don't you?" "Yes," I say. It's true, and I don't ask why, because I know. Give me children or else I die. There's more than one meaning to it. "You're soft," he says. "It's time. Today or tomorrow would do it. Why waste it? It'd only take a minute, honey." What he called his wife once, maybe still does, but really it's a generic term. We're all honey. I hesitate. He's offering himself to me, his services, at some risk to himself. "I hate to see what they put you through," he murmurs. It's genuine sympathy, and yet he's enjoying this, sympathy and all. His eyes are moist with compassion. His hand is moving on me, nervously and with impatience. "It's too dangerous," I say. "No, I can't. The penalty is death, but they have to catch you in the act with 2 witnesses. What are the odds? Is the room bugged? Who's waiting just outside the door?" His hand stops. "Think about it," he said. "I've seen your chart. You don't have a lot of time left, but it's your life." "Thank you," I say. I must leave the impression that I'm not offended, that I'm open to suggestion. He takes his hand away, lazily, almost lingeringly. This is not the last word as far as he's concerned. He could fake the tests, report me for cancer, for infertility, have me shipped off to the colonies with the unwomen. None of this has been said, but the knowledge of his power hangs nevertheless in the air as he pats my thigh. withdraws himself behind the hanging sheet. Next month, he says. I put on my clothes again behind the screen. My hands are shaking. Why am I frightened? I've crossed no boundaries. I've given no trust, taken no risk. All is safe. It's the choice that terrifies me. A way out, a salvation. Chapter 12, page 62. The bathroom is beside the bedroom. It's papered in small blue flowers, forget-me-nots, with curtains to match. There's a blue bath mat, a blue fake fur cover on the toilet seat. All this bathroom lacks from the time before is a doll whose skirt conceals the extra roll of toilet paper, except that the mirror over the sink has been taken out and replaced by an oblong of tin. And the door has no lock, and there are no razors, of course. There were incidents in bathrooms at first. There were cuttings, drownings, before they got all the bugs ironed out. Cora sits on a chair outside in the hall to see that no one else goes in. In a bathroom, in a bathtub, you are vulnerable, said Aunt Lydia. She didn't say to what. The bath is a requirement, but it is also a luxury. Merely to lift off the heavy white wings and the veil, merely to feel my own hair again with my hands is a luxury. My hair is long now, untrimmed. Hair must be long but covered. Aunt Lydia said, St. Paul said it's either that or a close shave. She laughed, that held back neighing of hers, as if she told a joke. Cora has run the bath. It seems like a bowl of soup. I take off the rest of the clothes, the overdress, the white shift and petticoat, the red stockings, the loose cotton pantaloons. Pantyhose gives you crotch rot, Maura used to say. Aunt Lydia would never have used an expression like crotch rot. Unhygienic was hers. She wanted everything to be very hygienic. My nakedness is strange to me already. My body seems outdated. Did I really wear bathing suits at the beach? I did, without thought among men, without caring that my legs, my arms, my thighs, and back were on display, could be seen. Shameful, immodest. I avoid looking down at my body, not so much because it's shameful or immodest, but because I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at something that determines me so completely. I step into the water, lie down, let it hold me. The water is soft as hands. I close my eyes, and she's there with me, suddenly, without warning. It must be the smell of the soap. I put my face against the soft hair at the back of her neck and breathe her in. Baby powder and child's washed flesh and shampoo, with an undertone, the faint scent of urine. This is the age she is when I'm in the bath. She comes back to me at different ages. This is how I know she's not really a ghost. If she were a ghost, she would be the same age always. One day when she was 11 months old, just before she began to walk, a woman stole her out of a supermarket cart. It was a Saturday, which was when Luke and I did the week shopping, because both of us had jobs. She was sitting in the little baby seats they had then in supermarket carts with holes for legs. She was happy enough, and I turned my back, the cat food section, I think it was. Luke was over at the side of the store out of sight in the meat counter. He liked to choose what kind of meat we were going to eat during the week. He said men needed more meat than women did, and that it wasn't a superstition, and he wasn't being a jerk. Studies had been done. There were some differences, he said. He was fond of saying that, as if I was trying to prove there weren't. But mostly he said it when my mother was there. He liked to tease her. I heard her start to cry. I turned around and she was disappearing down the aisle in the arms of a woman I'd never seen before. I screamed and the woman stopped. She must have been about 35. She was crying and saying it was her baby. The Lord had given it to her. He had sent her a sign. I felt sorry for her. The store manager apologized and they held her until the police came. She's just crazy, Luke said. I thought it was an isolated incident at the time. She fades. I can't keep her here with me. She's gone now. Maybe I do think of her as a ghost, the ghost of a dead girl, a little girl who died when she was 5. I remember the pictures of us I once had, me holding her, standard poses, mother and baby, locked in a frame for safety. Behind my closed eyes, I could see myself as I am now, sitting beside an open drawer or a trunk in the cellar where the baby clothes were folded away, a lock of hair cut when she was 2 in an envelope, white blonde. It got darker later. I don't have those things anymore, the clothes and hair. I wonder what happened to all our things. Looted, dumped out, carried away, confiscated. I've learned to do without a lot of things. If you have a lot of things, said Aunt Lydia, you get too attached to this material world and you forget about spiritual values. You must cultivate poverty of spirit. Blessed are the meek. She didn't go on to say anything about inheriting the earth. I lie, lapped by the water, beside an open drawer that does not exist, and think about a girl who did not die when she was 5, who still does exist. I hope, though not for me. Do I exist for her? Am I a picture somewhere in the dark at the back of her mind? They must have told her I was dead. That's what they would think of doing. They would say it would be easier for her to adjust. 8 she must be now. I've filled in the time I lost. I know how much there's been. They were right. It's easier to think of her as dead. I don't have to hope then or make a wasted effort. Why bash your head, said Aunt Lydia against the wall. Sometimes she had a graphic way of putting things. I ain't got all day, says Cora's voice outside the door. It's true, she hasn't. She hasn't got all of anything. I must not deprive her of her time. I soap myself, use the scrub brush and the piece of pumice for sanding off dead skin. Such Puritan aids are supplied. I wish to be totally clean, germless, without bacteria, like the surface of the moon. I will not be able to wash myself this evening, not afterwards, not for a day. It interferes, they say, and why take chances? I cannot avoid seeing now the small tattoo on my ankle, 4 digits and an I, a passport in reverse. It's supposed to guarantee that I will never be able to fade finally into another landscape. I am too important, too scarce for that. I'm a national resource. I pull the plug, dry myself, put on my red terrycloth robe. I leave today's dress here, where Cora will pick it up to be washed. Back in the room, I dress again. The white headdress isn't necessary for the evening, because I won't be going out. Everyone in this house knows what my face looks like. The red veil goes on, though, covering my damp hair, my head, which has not been shaved. Where did I see that film about the women kneeling in the town square, hands holding them, their hair falling in clumps? What had they done? It must have been a long time ago, because I can't remember. Cora brings my supper covered on a tray. She knocks at the door before entering. I like her for that. It means she thinks I have some of what we used to call privacy left. Thank you, I say, taking the tray from her, and she actually smiles at me, but she turns away without answering. When we're alone together, she's shy of me. I put the tray on the small white painted table and draw the chair up to it. I take the cover off the tray. Thigh of a chicken, overcooked. It's better than bloody, which is the other way she does it. Rita has ways of making her resentments felt. A baked potato, green beans, salad, canned pears for dessert. It's good enough food, though bland. Healthy food. You have to get your vitamins and minerals, said Aunt Lydia coyly. You must be a worthy vessel. No coffee or tea, though. No alcohol. Studies have been done. There's a paper napkin, as in cafeterias. I think of the others, those without. This is the heartland here. I'm leading a pampered life. May the Lord make us truly grateful, said Aunt Lydia. Or was it thankful? And I start to eat the food. I'm not hungry tonight. I feel sick to my stomach, but there's no place to put the food. No potted plants, and I wouldn't chance the toilet. I'm too nervous, that's what it is. Could I leave it on the plate? Asked Cora not to report me. I chew and swallow, feeling the sweat come out. In my stomach, the food balls itself together, a handful of damp cardboard squeezed. Downstairs in the dining room, there will be candles on the large mahogany table, a white cloth, silver, flowers, wine glasses with wine in them. There will be the click of knives against china, a clink as she sets down her fork, with a barely audible sigh, leaving half the contents of her plate untouched. Possibly she will say she has no appetite. Possibly she won't say anything. If she says something, does he comment? If she doesn't say anything, does he notice? I wonder how she manages to get herself noticed. I think it must be hard. There's a pat of butter on the side of the plate. I tear off a corner of the paper napkin, wrap the butter in it, take it to the cupboard, and slip it into the toe of my right shoe, from the extra pair as I have done before. I crumple up the rest of the napkin. No one surely will bother to smooth it out, to check if any is missing. I will use the butter later tonight. It would not do this evening to smell of butter. I wait, compose myself. Myself is a thing I must now compose, as one composes a speech. What I must present is a made thing, something not born.